Hello civilians, it's me, Pawn Ranger. So, welcome to the first video diary of the new year, covering events that happened last year. So I'm recording this in December, but this is planned to come out like the first week of January, maybe second if I if something happens to me. So what is it like in the future? Wow. So if this is your first video diary for me, hello, welcome. These are my video diary videos in which I just turn on a camera. I kind of just talk off the cuff about like an event that I did, my experience, and sometimes we learn something new about ourselves and the world around us. I wanted to wait a little bit to make this particular video because I kind of wanted to cover a bunch of stuff in it, kind of in the wider context of where the Kaigai idol scene is in regards to like standalone events. And this is kind of like a companion piece to my birthday live video, in which I was like, oh, I'd really like to see people like try this. I don't know like if people are going to do it because it's expensive. And guess what? People did it. It has absolutely exploded, at least within like the last 6 months of 2024. A ton of people put on different types of events. I participated in some of them. It's kind of like the new horizon for the Northeast. And I'm very excited to talk about it. So in this video, I'll be talking about Aiden's birthday live, the Yabai Halloween event that I was in, the inaugural Idol Gateway, and finally, Ash's and Ella's World Chaos Party. So then after that, I'll be talking a little bit about like the wider stuff that has happened since like other events, and I also had my audience send in a bunch of questions about standalone events that they wanted to know about, whether that be participating in, running those events, going to those events, etc., etc. And finally, I do have an important soft announcement at the end of this video regarding my own next standalone event that I'll be doing. So let's get right into it. So the first event that I did was Aiden's birthday live back in September. Shortly after I recovered from surgery, Aiden was like, hey, do you want to do birthday event with me? And I said, absolutely, I will do anything for you. I will die for you, Aiden. If you're watching this, I will die for you, Aiden. So the venue that was chosen for this event is the new location for the stage area that we had originally shot the Noir music video at. So the owners of the venue had like a performance space that they also rented out for like video shoots and photo shoots and stuff. But it was in like a different part of Baltimore a couple years ago when we did Noir. And then, you know, they moved and then they reopened it. And Aiden was like, wouldn't it be cool if it was the Noir venue? And everyone was like, yeah. And then I think at the time it was the most attended standalone Kaigai Idol event. I think we had over 70 people in that little teeny tiny venue, which is insane to think about. And it was a lot of fun. We had like a little backstage area, we hung out, and the people that own the venue were really impressed with like the turnout and also like the quality of the performers, and we're like, hey man, if you want to come back, please do it. We'd love to have you back, which is actually the highest compliment like a venue owner can like give you. Hey, I liked your stuff so much, I want you to come back so bad, is the is the best feeling. And I had a great time. I would do it again, 10 out of 10. The next event that I did after this was Yabai's Halloween Circus event. This was a couple days before Halloween, and it was also in like the DMV area. This time it was in Oxon Hill in like an office building, so like somebody has like a little like music venue up in like a multiplex building that has like a lab corp and like a primary care doctor office and a dentist office. Like literally like across the hallway was like a dental practice, and then there's just this like this music venue. This was another like kind of a small venue. It was a bit more intimate than the Only Vibes venue that Aiden had used for their birthday live. Oxon Hill is around where like Katsukan is, so it's close to like the Gaylord if you're like from the area you're familiar with. Like the Katsukan area. The Katsukan area. And Gyabai is an all-idol collective that's based in the Northeast, and is one of my beloveds. I have been a member of the collective for a couple of years now, and they have always been really welcoming of me, like trying new things, seeing what sticks, and the audiences that come to Yabai's stuff, whether that be at a convention or to this very first Yabai standalone event, are really receptive to it and give great feedback and everything. So I really appreciate it a lot. And again, it was also a very intimate number of people that showed up. I think maybe 20 or 30 people in that venue, and it still felt very, very full with that amount. And it was very fun. I'm sorry for my makeshift Mystery Science Theater outfit. This is a costume for me and only me. And then after that event, literally I think like a week or two after was Idol Gateway, the inaugural Idol Gateway. So Idol Gateway seeks to be a like repeating event. Like they want to have many of these. It's also a Taibon style event. Most of these are. Taibons are like a multi-performer like idol event. I don't think it actually just applies to idols in Japanese, but if anyone that knows Japanese like music culture in general, like live music culture in general, let me know in the comments. And they are looking to have multiple of these Idol Gateway performances. And I will tell you a little bit more about how you can get involved in that in the next part of the video. But it was baby's first Idol Gateway. Idol Gateway is run by Aiden, Alex Pinku, Michael from Flair, and then a lot of people from the Otakon idol space also help like run like the sound and tech and kind of like organizational lore stuff that's really necessary for these events. And we had a lot of fun. I think we had like a 40 or 50 person turnout in the same venue that Yabai had. So this was the same venue in Oxon Hill, like literally the same venue. And wow, that listing says that it holds 100 people, and I don't think that that's correct. But we somehow fit everybody into that space and in an organized manner, and people had room for activities and fun and movement and shenanigans, and it was a great time. Would do again. So finally is World Chaos Party, which happened in December. This was a birthday event for both my friends and manager, Ella and Ashes. So Ella is one of my longtime friends in the idol sphere, my bad influence, the person that's gotten me into Call and Mix, and I love and care them deeply. And then Ashes is, of course, one of my managers. But around the time, I think it hadn't officially gone into effect yet. And the name of the game for this event was Scoffed but Endearing, intentional and also in some ways unintentional. And that is something that I really enjoy. Like the posters and all the promotion stuff was very sweet bro, hella Jeff, like intentionally shitty type of stuff, which I love personally. I love that stuff. If you remember or have been here long enough to remember my performance with Ella at Northwest Idol Fest, poorly photoshopped idol promotional photos are are the bread and butter around here. And then at the event, this was in New York City, so this was in a venue that was kind of like hidden. There was like a sports bar, and then the entrance for the venue was on the right, and it was 21 plus. um I think the owner of the venue actually had to let you in to there, and then we had like someone doing ID check at the door in the venue, which was fun and new for me. It's a bit more oversight by the venue owner than I'd seen at these previous events. I think maybe with the exception of Aiden's birthday event, where the owner of the venues were like in the crowd and everything. That was really fun. I think we actually had Aiden's birthday event be, and I know that we made back our venue, which is something I will also talk about at a later time. We had a really great turnout for this. A lot of wisps, a lot of Pomodachis, a lot of space for activities. Shenanigans lists, human pyramids, Kaigai. And it was, I think, as of currently, the most successful event on the Northeast, which I am incredibly proud of my friends for doing. So here's the next part of the video where I kind of like talk about the wider state of like, standalone events in the Kaigai idol space, because listen, I'm not at every single one, but I through my community work with the Tri-State Idol Union, see a lot of events and put a lot of events on like the community bulletin boards and the community calendars, and occasionally like push them on our stuff. And it's been really interesting to see the growth in the 9 months since I did my birthday event. I know that I learned after doing my birthday video, and also through helping Metamore like with some like promotional stuff through TIU, that Metamore did one of the first standalone events here, and also Teddy Bear Idols, I think, as well. Which has been really interesting to learn. And I'm trying to figure out a way to word this. So within the past 9 months, there have been so many more events, starting with Natsu Matsuri, which is run by like Eternal Hoshi. There was the Metamore Autumn Idol Jam event. There was the Leica Peon event, which is the idol project of Daybreak from Eternal Hoshi's soloist project. And then like the events that I was a part of, and then Starfest, which is a cosplayer focused event, which makes that really unique. And it's been really interesting to see a lot of people figure out kind of how to do these types of events, whether that be, it's not that difficult. I know that Eternal Hoshi works with a booking company for it, but they already had a working relationship with a promoter. And then some other people were just renting out like events spaces, or working with their local event space to create events, and seeing like everyone's different priorities and goals has been incredibly interesting. I don't know how to like explain this. And I know that like it's just gonna be me going like, wow, it's so cool that our community has grown so much that these are a thing. And I do sometimes hear from people that like, are these like actually worth it to like do? Are they worth it to put on? And honestly, I really do think that they are. They are expensive. They are a little bit difficult to plan and do well, and there's also no guarantee that you'll actually make any money from it. um, but I do think that creating these spaces within the community is the important part of it. And it's like individual projects often don't make money within the scene. So I don't understand the criticism of like it doesn't make money, so therefore it's not worth it. But it's been pretty cool, and I'd like to see more events happen going into 2025. I know that Metamore is looking to do more events, and they also have like an audition system for it. And then Idle Gateway currently has like a rolling application, so you can put in like your work, and they can see your portfolio and perhaps like send you a booking request from there. Yeah, it's been really interesting to see, and I really hope that more people try out this style of event. So now we get into the Q&A portion of this. I received a lot of questions that were like, how do you plan this? How do you do tickets? How do you pick a venue? And I do have like some ideas on this. Bear in mind that this is just like me. This is my personal thoughts on venue picking. It's not the end all be all. If you have a different like idea and different priorities, then I would say like do your priorities. I will start by saying that an event that is for everyone is for no one. And it sounds like not nice to say that, but I think the important part of that is more so that like you need to think about like what you want your event to look like. And does that mean like you prioritize original acts? Do you prioritize original acts with original music? Do you prioritize acts that are cosplayers? And then if so, like, is this newer cosplayers or newer performers? Is this people that have been established? Is this, you know, it's a lot of things. What does your ideal lineup look like in your head? And then you can go from there. What kind of things do you want in your venue? Are you fine with it being in an office building? Do you want this to be all on one level? What, like, are you looking for a venue that already has all the equipment in it? Or are you fine renting? Do you know someone with equipment? Or like if it's like a birthday live, for example, my birthday event, I didn't do applications for that because I wanted to invite performers that I would have just invited to a regular like birthday dinner or something on my own. And through that, that's the idea. That was the idea of what I wanted my performer lineup to be. And I had a very, very bare bones vision of like what the sound and stuff would be. I was all right with like a little bit of scuff, but maybe you're not. Maybe you want like a big stage. Maybe you want a bunch of lights. Maybe you want a light system. Maybe you want to hire people. Maybe you want to rent higher grade equipment. And that's the core thing, is to have a vision. And from there, you can kind of pick out what you would like for your venue. So personally, for me, I think there are 3 components to a good venue. The first one is accessibility. Not only like disability accessibility, but also are people able to drive there and park? Are people able to get there easily by public transit? Do they have to take an Uber from the train station? Things like that will also like affect your turnout. Not everybody drives, and also not everyone likes to drive long distances. So it's very important that that's like in consideration. It's also what is your local audience? I know in the Northeast we have a good stable of Woda that like to come to events. We also have a lot of, you know, just Kaigai idols that like to go to events in general, even if they're not performing. So consider like your audience in the area. which may be a little bit more difficult in places where they don't the audience needs to be made, essentially. I know that Rapid Steps, even outside like of the Northeast, there's like Rapid Steps, there's Northwest Idol Fest, there's all of the events in like SoCal, there's stuff that Love Link does in Utah. There are standalone events all over the country, and all of their audiences are different, and the appeal to those audiences will all be different. Lastly, is it a place that you want to go? Is it, does it have what you're looking for? Are you looking for a place that has all of the equipment that you want? Do you need to rent? Do you mind going there yourself? Do you mind driving there yourself? Or taking the train there yourself? Are you comfortable going there? Is it a safe place to go? Is it in a safe part of the area? Which is also a consideration. But mainly, if you were a performer and not a showrunner, would you want to perform at that venue? And then with ticketing, I know that some places do it through like Eventbrite. Personally, me, Idol Gateway, and the team for World Chaos use Ko-fi for it. How we kept track of people was we made an Excel sheet of everyone that had bought a ticket, and we checked emails at the door, basically. It's not too dissimilar from what people have for Eventbrite, where they like scan something. But that's how we did it. It also doesn't take any fees, and it also doesn't put any surprise fees on the guest. There have been a lot of times where events through Eventbrite, like, the ticket will be advertised as like $15 or $20, and then by the time you get through Eventbrite, it's like $30. And that is also not like a great like guest experience, in my opinion. And it is certainly a thing to consider. There's also some certain like ease with Eventbrite. You'll have to weigh your own pros and cons for your own personal event, for what you think works great for you and the team that you're working with. I also recommend working with a team. Do not do this on your own, please. You will need hands at the show. You will not be able to do everything. And that's the important part. You will not be able to do everything. Do you want a live stream? You need someone to monitor the live stream. Are you working the soundboard? You need someone to work the soundboard. You need someone to keep an eye on the door. And ideally, this would be a team of maybe like 3 to 4 or 5 other people. If you want a photographer, find a photographer. But I would recommend doing this with other people, because you, as a singular person, physically cannot do everything, especially if it's a larger venue or a venue with multiple rooms, or if people need to be led up or directed into the venue space. Finally, people have asked about like the budget for these things. Now that it's been like a couple ones and it's not just me, we would recommend a budget of $1,000 to $2,000. That is a lot of money. It may not be if it's like a group of 5 people all pitching in, but that's kind of the bare minimum. Maybe if you're in a different region where venue prices are cheaper, or if you work with a venue where you do like a ticket share type thing, which also goes back into like, what does the venue use for tickets? That will like vary depending on what is available. Long story short, expect to have to save at least $1,500 for the bare minimum. Work with other people, because you cannot be in 12 places at once, and take some time to think through the venue and have a vision for your event. That's my biggest advice. I would love to do a video or maybe like a an article for it, for idolizing for IIN, but I would love to do like a wider thing for this, but that would take a lot of time to kind of like plan through and everything. The next question is, how do I become a performer at one of these things? For the most part, at least in the events that I did, it was kind of like invite only, um, which tends to be the case for a lot of these events. I know that Metamore did like an application process. Idol Gateway has a rolling process. I know that MIU's Rapid Steps idol event had an application process. I'm not sure if there's any other events that have this, but I would recommend that, like, just put them down in the comments. Oh yes, Natsumatsuri also did an application process. But a lot of the time they tend to be invite only. And the reason for this is not because people think that, like, oh, these are like the cream of the crop performers. It's because we all know each other and we all know how each other work, and we all have seen each other perform, so we know like what we're kind of working with. I would say the best way to get involved is, if there is an application process, put forward your best portfolio and go from there. Once you have like an in with these events and these organizers, from there you'll be able to build a connection with them and kind of continue on doing more of these events. So if they like your work, they will continue to bring you on. The next is a little bit more difficult, but I would recommend that you come to these shows, even if you're not a performer. When I say this, I want this to be more like a community building thing. I do not recommend going into these events going like, if I go to X number of shows, then they'll have to let me in. There's a variety of factors. I think the most an event can support is 6 before it gets to be too long, or the performers just simply don't have enough time. I recommend going to shows and getting to know people. I would strongly also recommend to go not expecting to be in these events, but more so to just meet people and talk. You never know who's going to make the next event. You also don't know who other people know. And that is the biggest part of it. There is opportunity everywhere if you are normal about it. Which has been my MO since starting idol stuff. But yes, best of luck if you are looking to go into these events. I would like to host an event for new idols at some point. Figuring out logistics for that has been a little difficult, but I would like to be able to do that someday. I would also like to run something under TIU, which also has an application process. That isn't just like my birthday event, which isn't under TIU, it's under my personal projects. Best of luck if you are looking to get into one of these events. I know you can do it. The next question is, how do I find these events? Like, the question was, how do I find these events? It always feels like they're over by the time I get to them. Just really keeping your ear to the ground. It really is starting to become like other music scenes that have like live music infrastructure, where they'll just be promoted online and you will just need to find them yourself. I would recommend the best way to find these events is to join like idol servers. They tend to get promoted in there. If you're in a particular region, I would recommend like Tri-State Idol Union if you're in the Northeast, because we always have stuff going on. In the Midwest, there's starting to be more stuff, so I would recommend also, if you're in the Midwest, the big the big chunk of the Midwest, I would recommend like joining the Midwestern Idol Union. And then if you are in California, they have started a West Coast Idol Union out there, California and Seattle. These events tend to be like promoted like a couple of weeks to like a month and a half in advance, which may not be the best if you're traveling from like out of like the region, like out of like a 6-hour train ride or Amtrak, or like a regular drive over. But I would definitely recommend just keeping an eye in community spaces, because that is where they'll be promoted the most. The next question is, where do you go before you perform and where do you go after? So personally for me, before I perform, I like to watch the performers before me. I have really bad show anxiety. It doesn't matter how many years I've done this, how many shows I've done. Every single show I'll be sitting there and I'm like, I'm gonna throw up. I'm gonna throw up. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna explode. And watching like the other performers and just having fun really helps with like the anxiety that I have pre-shows. Of course, like I, conserve my energy. It's usually me sitting in a place that has less of a concentration of people, and I watch, and then maybe if the mood gets me, I like come up and like, vibe with the crowd and then go back to my seat to conserve some of my energy. And that really helps with that. Next is, what do I do? Well, what do I do after? If I'm like in the middle of like a performance, I tend to also just go crazy. I go crazy with the rest of the crowd. I don't have to conserve any more energy than's needed to go home. So, it's, I can enjoy the crowd, but like after shows, it tends to be that people either scatter on their own ways depending on how they feel like post show, or we all go out to dinner together. I love idol dinner so much. The next question is, what are the pros and cons of being a performer at these types of events compared to conventions? So I will say that these events are way less tiring and also way less expensive for me to like participate in. Personally, with a convention, you end up paying like $1,000 up front to perform for 30 minutes, and then you have that whole weekend, and maybe you make some money at like a meet and greet if the convention actually has a meet and greet. But it's kind of just very like up in the air. With these independent events, I make I make money. It's like with the with the obvious exception of when I'm running the event and doing all the upfront costs and stuff. But when I perform in like these independent events, it's weird to talk about money when it comes to idol stuff, but I find that like I don't have to worry so much about it. Like it's either like I'm paying like $20 to like do a train ticket, or like I'm just paying for like the cost of gas. And if it's a little bit further away, I'm able to like weekender trip and spend a little bit of money on like an Airbnb or like a shared hotel room. But it is just not as much of like an upfront cost as performing at like a convention, which has allowed me to put more money that I make at those events towards future projects. And that's been really helpful for me. It's been really helpful as I like continue to work to make like original music, save up for like things that I need, like replacements for cables and like costume, like saving towards like new costume stuff. And or like saving up for like the upfront cost of like making merch. It's just been incredibly like it's helped me like put a bit more life into my project because I now have some extra funds to put towards it. Some of the cons are they while they're not as tiring as conventions, they can be pretty damn tiring. There have been times where I've walked away from a performance and I'm like, shit, I don't think I vibed with that crowd. There were new people there and they didn't get it, or there were new people in there and they didn't like really care about me for whatever reason. And that sucks to feel as a performer. I feel like conventions, generally speaking, are very supportive audiences because they know. And then sometimes with independent idol events, you can see, you can like, it's a mixture of people that are like already existing idol fans and people local to the area that are trying out like a new type of live music or are just interested in seeing because they have nothing better to do and they might not get it and they might get it. An issue that sometimes I experience at shows is clearly I am not a skinny person. Kaigai idols have blown up. People, regular Japanese idols have blown up. People do in fact have an image in their mind of what that looks like, what that type of person looks like. And for all intents and purposes, I really don't fit that mold. I am 5'5", fucking yoked, like fat. Like I am not a skinny person by any stretch of the imagination, and I've also never been. So there have been times where at meet and greets, people will go talk to one of my performer friends that are like thin, and then they'll make eye contact with me and walk past and then go to one of the other performers that are also thin. And that sucks. And I'm going to call out that behavior now. I don't think people do it intentionally to be mean to me. I think people, in fact, are, live in a society and, do it kind of unintentionally. And that feels horrible. And I see it I see it like at least once or twice per show that I've done at both conventions and also these like standalone events. And it would be great if we could maybe be more mindful of that. If you are a first timer going to these shows, or you're a fresh WOTA to these shows, I would recommend being kind to all performers equally. There's like no expectation to speak to me if you don't want to, but it does suck to see everyone talk to every single performer but me. And even if I give a good show, and it's hard, it's just a little hard to deal with, and that's dealing with new audiences has been a bit of a growing pain for me personally. Finally is a very fun question, which is, what region of the United States that has not had an idol event do you think could use one? And then the next question is, what metro region of the US is desperately lacking in idol events that don't have it? So my answer to the first one is, as far as I understand, there has been at least one idol event in each one standalone idol event in each region of the United States. The 5 major regions, at least. Northwest, Southwest, Northeast, Southeast, and Midwest. So it's like, obviously, like the Northeast has a bunch of standalone events up here. In the Southeast, there has been Dream Stage, which did Dream Valentine Live. Terry still runs some independent events down there. In the Midwest, we have Rapid Steps. In the southwest. Is Utah in the southwest? Lovelink exists, and they have been running events. Please go to them if you're in Utah. And then also, like, obviously Skiff and like stuff that Lil Akiba's doing, LA Idol Matsuri, and then now what Northwest Idol Fest, as they've moved down there, is also going to do events down there. And then of course in the Northwest there is Northwest Idol Fest, which is no longer extant, but I do know the people and community living there want to do another event in Seattle area. So very cool, very fun. But one thing I've always been curious about is, that's the mainland United States. What does the scene look like in like the other areas of the US? Like, is there an idol community in Alaska? Like, is there an idol scene in Puerto Rico? Which, if, like, and are they doing standalone events? And more importantly, is there an idol scene in Hawaii? I've always been really curious about that. If there's a Kaigai idol community down in Hawaii. And for the second part of that question, what metro area do I think could benefit from an idol thing? And as I said before, every region is different, every local community has different needs. I'm gonna be selfish and say my home area does not have an idol event yet, and I would like to see an idol event in New Brunswick, New Jersey. I know that there is a lot of you know, like punk houses and like basement show stuff there, just from being friends with different musicians from the area. I went to college there. I would love to see stuff there. So that wraps it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I feel like a lot of my thoughts and feelings on the current state of these like standalone idol events is just like, that's cool. I'm really happy for this. I love seeing it. I love seeing this community push itself to try new and different things and really like create performing spaces in like however they think that should be done. I don't ever think that there should be like a monopoly on like event running or anything. So seeing so many different groups of people, the events that I participate in are just ones that are run by people that I know and that I work with, I'm friends with and close to, but like I see like the work done by other people and their own visions that they have, and it's been really interesting to see that, and I love seeing it, and I will always go to these shows as long as I, one, am available, and two, have the time and money to go. And if I can't go, then I will definitely support them through TIU. And with that being said, the important soft announcement that I wanted to give is that I have officially started working on doing another birthday live this year. One of the questions that I received but I wanted to hold off for here was like, how has the new management system helped me with these shows? And the thing is that the management system has not yet kicked in for any like upcoming events. World Chaos Party kind of happened before that officially went into effect for me, and like because it like literally like a day or two before. So seeing like 2025 will really be the proving ground for it, and I'm working on a birthday event for 2025. You will hear more about that at the end of January, beginning of February when I start promoting it. It's going to be a little bit bigger in terms of like stuff. I'm using the same venue as last time, at least I plan to, and I want to do like an off-kai, which is like a little meetup. And that's been really fun to do and also very interesting to navigate with an actual management team now. So I've been wondering, we've thought briefly about making like a Q&A regarding the management team, so if that might be something that you're interested in, let us know. So I think that's about wraps it up for this video. I have 2 more videos, video diaries coming out soon, about guesting at Northwest Idol Fest and performing at my very first AWA, so please look forward to it. I plan to have some digest footage for these standalone events soon, so please look forward to that. And if I don't see you in those next videos, then I hope I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye!
この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。